Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
And
Hi, Oliver.
Hi.
welcome to Music in Today's World, Global Conversations, and hello to everyone watching. I can see lots of people are watching from all over the place, so welcome to today's webinar, and I shall start by introducing today's amazing guests. We have Carly Powley, international soprano, classic Brit nominee, BBC Music Ambassador, wonderful Carly Powley. We have the fantastic Paolo Petrocelli, TEDx talker, founder of Emma for Peace, cultural advisors Coldplay, incredible musicologist. Thank you for being with us. And Maestro Gianluca Marciano, internationally acclaimed conductor, founder of Sony del Golfo Festival, artistic director of Albistan Festival, who's performed with incredible artists, as have all of you. And I am co-hosting, joined by the wonderful Polo Piatti, the founder and director of the Opus Theatre. So here we are, guys. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi,
Hello.
Oliver.
Good to be with you. So to get the ball rolling, I would just like to start with a little something that Carly had shared with us earlier in the week, and some may have seen this image as well. It's this theatre, and it is the concert hall in Germany. I'm just putting the info down the bottom there.
Wiesbaden.
Yes, that's I didn't know how to pronounce it. That's right. So, Gianluca, I would like to start with you, since you really have a lot of experience in putting on festivals and events, and you experienced, actually, when you were in Albistan Festival just a few months ago, the lockdown taking place and everything cancelling. So what do you make of this? What are your thoughts of this?
Well, yes, that's true. I mean, we were in the middle of the festival. We had 3 extraordinary weeks of the 5 that we planned in Albistan Festival, and then the coronavirus pandemic hit the entire world, hit Lebanon as well. I must say that the executive vice president of the festival, Laura Lahoud, and you know very well, no, Oliver, you know Laura. Yes.
Yeah.
So Laura did an amazing job and tried all the possible together. We had meetings over meetings to try to find a solution. But when we understood that it was bigger than all of us, and the government took a decision very strong to stop all the events in the country, and then very soon this became a quarantine process. So they even closed then a few days later the airport. So the decision was to cancel the last few concerts. We had an amazing orchestra coming from Armenia. We had so many incredible artists. We still had to perform the 9th of Beethoven, the Missa Solemnis.
My goodness, wow.
You know, so you can imagine what meant. We had a choir coming from Italy, from Sicily, Coro Lirico Siciliano. So they were all understanding, because what was happening to us was happening all around the world. And I think it's the first time for all of us that we are in the business. I think Paolo, you can because you are in so many theaters as well, involved. So it's the first time that we find ourselves involved in such an incredible crisis for the entire system. We had after a few days later, I left Lebanon, and I found myself receiving calls, and all the contracts canceled. So all my job as a conductor was canceled till further notice.
Yeah.
So you have a situation that you are not prepared to, and the first period, I have to say, the first 2 weeks, they were a bit shocking, because the only thing was in my mind is when are we going to start again? I mean, there is no nothing. There is no strategy yet that we can even put on the table. But after these 2 weeks that I dedicate most of all to read a lot of books and watching nice movies, then I started to think that something we should anyway do. And
Right.
we had also a call with Paolo in that period, and we were talking about what to do with the live music, because this is what we should talking about. Of course, there are so many because artists are very creative, so there were many solutions using the technology, and a lot of concerts from home. But with the problem, of course, that we have a sound that is compressed, and we cannot really enjoy all the nuances, all the different colors that they are the main part of the musical language. Yeah. So I thought we need to find a way to go over it. You know, this can last for a little period, but we need really to find a way to protect and to support the live music. And right. This can be also through technology, but not only with technology, for me.
And when you spoke with Paolo, so Paolo, what did you guys talk about, and what are you doing from your unique perspective, or planning to do to perhaps combat what we're going through?
Right. Well, guys, as you know, I'm based in Italy, in Rome. So, you know, I was facing really, let's say, the major impact of this pandemic virus from the very, very beginning. It started here in late February, early March. And like in 1 week, our lives just changed completely from every aspect, you know, from private life, of course, and professional life. So as you know, I work also at the Rome Opera House here in Italy. And of course, we were forced to shut down the theater, close, stop the season. And, you know, this probably never happened in Italy. And for sure in Rome, the Rome Opera House never closed. This is the very first time that we had to stop our season and activities. Even during the World War II, actually, the theater was working.
Wow.
So this is something really, you know, so new for everybody. I think, you know, first of all, I would like with you guys to send a message of solidarity to all our friends and musicians and colleagues, because we know what we are going through. And it's so, you know, unique, this situation for the artistic community, because the majority of the artists, the majority of the musicians are really in standby. They're in standby with their activities, but also emotionally, they're in standby. You know, of course, and you know very well, guys, you are the artist, the composer, conductor, singer, pianist. You need to interact with the audience. You need to interact with other musicians. You need to share your feelings, your vision of the music, of the art, of the world. And right now, this process is just in standby. I think, you know, we have to look for the positive, you know, aspect of this situation, which is this is a great opportunity for all of us to stop and think, you know, what is working, what was not working about our world, about the world of music, the world, if you want, of show business. And we know, especially from classical music and opera, there is so much to do in terms of innovation, right? We really need to reinvent, I think, some models and some way of how we communicate with the world and with the people. So what we are trying to do here in Italy, of course, definitely, you know, opera houses, orchestras, they need to face also very, you know, critical issues, which is, of course, safe, you know, the rise to work of hundreds of people, professional people, and this is true, of course, in UK, in US. From my point of view, you know, what I would like also to do with my colleagues, with my friends, what we are doing is to take this opportunity to connect more and to, you know, develop more creative ideas, to think to the future, of the music. After this crisis, sooner or later, let's hope very soon, it will be over. I think still we will have some major challenges that are actually not connected to the pandemic crisis, but it's more, in deep of our system, let's say. And I think this is a great opportunity to rethink a little bit our future.
Absolutely, Paolo. Thank you so much. I'm just going to ask quickly a question, Carly, but before we do that, I'm just looking at the comments that we have here. Thank you, everyone. Hi, Mike, Margaret, Tamara, Liz, Castilla, Chris, Simon, Laura. Laura's here. You mentioned Laura, Gianluca. She was saying
Hi,
that
Laura.
It was so sad to have to cancel, but we were so lucky to get away with 9 amazing concerts. So
absolutely true.
I'm glad that worked. And oops, Carly's disappeared briefly. And are you there, Carly? She's disappeared briefly. We'll get her back in. And Charlie says, hi, folks. So while Carly's reconnecting, I have a question for you, Paolo. Actually, I don't have a question. Someone called Mr. Allen, Simon Allen, has kindly written in via YouTube and has asked, how do you see the Opus Theatre reopening with physical distancing?
Well, this is a problem that is not solvable. We have a very specific seating situation, which is replicated in many other theaters in the world. We have seatings. We can seat 700 people, but the seats cannot be moved. They are protected by law. They are specially protected in a way. So you can only enter in a row if people are very, very close to you, or everybody has to go and leave others pass. And so it is absolutely impossible. Also, the bar, which is essential for our survival, to make a profit with the bar, is not viable. It's relatively small because of the entrances. We have been sitting and thinking, and we just can only pray that the problem disappears magically. It will not disappear magically, but we have to find some way. We have thought of the possibility of doing smaller performances with less people, but it's not commercially viable. So I wanted to ask specifically to organizers of festivals how they are planning ahead, because the problem I can find already with my Composer Festival that was supposed to be happening in 2021 in September, many of the participants have already canceled for two reasons. One reason is the sense of there could be would be a situation where it's too contagious to meet people, too many people. But the other thing is they are not making a living at the moment. They don't have any money to travel. And the beauty of the festival was that we had people from all over the world planning, say, 2 years in advance, saving money to buy a plane ticket and come and meet. And so it was a practical celebration of many things. That is not going to happen. So we have to either delay or change the people that can come and participate, which are people who have the money. And this is very contrary to our principles anyway. So we want to support composers that, especially composers that are fantastic professionals, but they are struggling to have a platform and an audience. So these people especially are totally in desperation now. Whatever we say, we are in a good position in Europe, and there are musicians in South America where my links are mostly, and they're really, really, really desperate because this is about survival. And on the other hand, they see how important music is in isolation. So I said the other day to a colleague, in Britain there is a term, they call it nurses and home workers, key workers. And I was saying to him, we are the key workers of the soul. We create music, we create beauty, we try at least. And if we are not careful, a lot of people will disappear from the platform. And that would be such a shame, because the world is not prepared for this. We have well organizations for health, thank God, for all type of problems, but we don't have a world organization to protect the arts, not in such a situation. So we have to, and that comes my question finally now, are we in the situation that we have to look for a new model to work and to survive under a situation that could last, actually, the repercussions could last for years? And I can ask that to organizers of festivals and big concerts like you do. How are you planning? Do you have ideas?
Well, Paolo, you want to say something about what you are doing in Rome?
Well, guys, very briefly, I think it's very clear that our system is so fragile. It's exactly what you're saying, Paulo. It's because of the majority of the cultural system in Europe, but everywhere, supported by government, by the state. So we rely a lot, of course, on the support of public funds, and also, of course, on tickets. So we need to sell tickets. At the same time, we need to receive, of course, financial support from public, government, and the private sector. Right now, of course, the priority is to save life, to concentrate on keeping this virus contained and eradicate this pandemic. So we have to be realistic. Definitely now it's time to solve first this problem. At the same time, it's clear we can't just put in standby culture and arts for the next 2 years. Exactly. Again, it's time to reinvent a little bit and take this opportunity also to discover, of course, new ways of communication. Here in Italy, definitely what we're doing is postponing the majority of the events and try to identify alternative locations, outdoor locations, very large locations, in order, to do during the summer some initiatives that will launch a message to the people. Say, we are here, despite the situation, we are doing our best to reach out to people with music, with art, with culture. At the same time, as Gianluca was saying, technology definitely, we know, is such an important tool, but it's even clear that, we're talking about live music, live performing arts. So you can substitute technology, you can substitute the live experience with technology, also because there is a big gap. Also, myself, I have a very big delay now that I talk here, because, as you see, even in Rome, Wi-Fi is not so big. Well, also because right now everybody, of course, is in their home, so we're all using Wi-Fi. So you can imagine, definitely, we need a lot of investment also in technology, and especially in classical music, opera houses. This investment has not been done over the last decades. Again, I think we have to be optimistic. We don't have, from my point of view, to force. We don't have to demonstrate that we can make things. We need actually to find sustainable solution and reasonable solution in order to make a concert. I think it's also important to not force right now, because we don't know what will be the scenario in the next 2-3 months. Especially here in Italy, we don't know if this safe period is going to last for the next 3-6 months, or if again we will have to be in lockdown in the summer. We all know, of course. So it's about, just to conclude, it's about definitely innovation. Definitely is about reducing the number of activities and working on quality also. It's also clear, guys, that we have been producing a lot of concerts, a lot of initiatives, a lot of festivals. I think now it's also an opportunity to reconsider, quality before quantity, maybe.
Yeah, I want to add just something to what Paolo was saying. First of all, as well as the Opera di Roma is anyway doing something this summer, because we can use in Italy the good weather and the beautiful spaces that we have. So The same thing will happen for me in Lerici with the festival. And so we announced just a couple of days ago that we are going to perform. We are going to do it. We change a bit the format. We reduce the numbers. We reduce the numbers, and we make it more like a residence of artists, Italian artists, that they come to Lerici to be in residence for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, playing together in different ensembles. We will have a small string orchestra. We will have a summer theater open air that will allow to respect all the rules that they are health and safety, let's say. But this what we are trying all to do this summer. It's something more, as Paolo said before. It's just to give a message. But our biggest challenge is how we will go on when the autumn comes, when the seasons of the concert seasons, the opera seasons are going to start. Because when we saw the image of Wiesbaden and imagining live performances, and so the performer on stage looking at the audience and seeing almost an empty space, also a matter of motivation, and this I will ask to Carly as a performer, but in matter of motivation, it's very difficult. The same, it's very challenging even. Think about also performing in front of a camera, knowing that, yes, maybe there is an audience all around the world that is looking at you in the app or on streaming on Facebook or wherever. But first of all, you don't know, as Paolo said, if the Wi-Fi will work well, if the sound will be the exact sound that you can imagine. And also you need to deliver the emotions that sometimes are really only in the air, in the place where you are performing. So we need to rethink. We need to find a way to support the live performances through new investments. I agree about it. For instance, it's very nice what the Berliner Philharmoniker had done with the concert hall, with the digital concert hall. And it's for sure one idea that has to become, because, music is a profession. It's not a hobby. So we do this as a profession, and it's a profession that has also a very high level of preparation behind it. You need to specialize on it. You study many years, and you need always to be 100% because you are judged every time that you are on stage. So, you do this as a job, is a profession. And so, we have to find a solution so that we can get back to our job, like every other profession, art, music, culture, theaters, dance, everyone that is involved in performing art need to have this chance, and we need to find a solution. We are creative. We will. There are so many people that are thinking about it, and we don't know actually when we will have a condition to go back to normal. Let's call it normal. But we should take this as an opportunity, because even before the coronavirus, things were not going so well.
Absolutely.
So we need to be conscious about this fact, that there were a lot of problems. With Paolo, I can say about the opera system. There were a lot of problems also before to attract public, to be sustainable, and so on. This should be, we should be taken this in a positive way to rethink every kind of policy of how to produce events, to produce. Carly, please, can you tell, as a performer, what would mean for you, for instance, to perform in front of an audience like in the case of Wiesbaden?
Well, it's a little bit like what you said. You've got to make the positives out of this situation. So whether we like it or not, we've all been thrown into the future, which there is a lesson to be learned from there, because in some way we've got to learn how to still carry on expressing what we do to an audience on a different format. And it's not the same. I've done quite a few live concerts now that, you know, just as you say, Gianluca, you prepare, you train every single day, and you're forever polishing your craft, because it is your craft and it's your career and your livelihood. So you give these concerts that take a lot of preparation, and you want to do that because if there's one thing, as you said, Polo, during this time, everybody's turned to the arts, whether it's music, whether it's poetry, reading stories, films. It's all the arts, and it's all this creative content that we put our heart and soul into every day, but it's also our livelihood. So it's been wonderful to be able to bring joy and bring hope into people's homes during this time, and, you know, give them that moment of lightness away from all the doom and gloom that's going on in the TV. But at the same time, we have got to work out between us how we retract from that. And after they've been able to receive it so long for free, because all of these concerts have been live streamed for free, even from the Met Opera, how do you then convince people to start paying money for tickets? Even if it's a virtual online ticket, they've had it so long now for, you know, for nothing. And yet, just as you said, this is our work, and we can't carry on doing that forever, of course.
Carly, thank you so much. May I just suggest as well, also, what you mentioned about the arts is vital, because we've been in lockdown, and what is keeping us going? What is keeping us sane? It's movies, it's music, it's books, it's music is saturated in all those things. And without that, I mean, it would be extremely difficult. So I think it's really important to put that perspective, because some people, you know, might think, oh, are the arts really that important? Do they really need that funding? Well, if you think about your life and how we as human beings actually are relying on that right now to get through such difficult times, it really makes it have some value, I guess, even for someone who is not a musician like us, you know, who might be remote to our field. Also, I'm glad you're back, Carly, because you disappeared briefly. I was going to ask you a question. There's a beautiful picture here I want to show everyone of Carly and Andrea Bocelli. Was this at the Roman Forum, Carly?
Yes, it was. And actually, somewhere there's Gianluca. I'm sure Paolo's there as well. Yes. So there's more than one of us within that picture, although you can't spot them all.
Right. It's a beautiful picture. And I was going to ask, actually, you are actually going to perform in an hour or so. You're in Liverpool, I believe, right now, and you're doing a live concert. Is that correct?
Yeah. So it won't be a live concert. Actually, it's going to be pre-recorded. It's the first time that we're pre-recording a concert in a while, and it's sort of just a breath of fresh air to get out. But one thing I am grateful for during this time is I've done a few of these live concerts, and one positive for all performers is all of a sudden the world can come to you. So I've been introduced virtually to, you know, people over in Australia, in America, Brazil, Papua New Guinea, just a fantastic, colourful variety of different people that have been introduced to my music, which is quite special. And amongst that audience are a few World War II veterans from across the world. So tomorrow, there will just be 6 of us going into a special location in Liverpool. It's St. Luke's Church, but it's become known as the Bombed Out Church. And that's because it was severely damaged during the World War II Blitz in 1941. And so it's just the walls that stand. But today it's filled with almost like a garden, you know, life regenerates, which I think is quite a nice message to, you know, an optimistic message for the way that we're all feeling at the moment. And I'll be doing a special concert really on the request of the World War II veterans that have been in touch with me over the last few weeks. So it's something special for them. It will just be short, but we're having to do it in lockdown style, which is a challenge. You know, people are 6 meters apart. Everybody's wearing masks. Everybody's wearing gloves, apart from me, because I think that would be a little bit scary. But yeah, hopefully it will go well. It will be live next Saturday at 7 p.m.
Amazing. Well, we can't wait, Carly. Thank you so much. Before we go further, I just want to read a couple more comments that we've got. Hello, everyone. Hello, Simon and Kay. So Kay was saying, Paulo, I suppose at the De La Warr, they could have live video links on ultra-large screens. That may be the way forward. It would be an investment that venues will have to make. We cannot lose music from our lives. Thank you, Kay, for that. Jill Siegel has said, thank you, Gianluca, for talking about performance outside. Here in the UK, outdoor performances are not even being considered. And in concert halls and theatres, maybe only next April. Well, I have news for you guys. It's been sunny you've had Italian weather for 2 months now, so I think we should be considering.
Yes, but that's the craziest thing, that this summer is absolutely stunning in the spring and summer, stunning in UK. Can you imagine what means for all the summer festivals? I was supposed to conduct a Grange Park Opera. Then I'm thinking about Glyndebourne. I'm thinking about Garsington. I'm thinking about Holland Park. I mean, it's crazy, no? But at the same time, I wanted to add to the topic about the future. You know, for instance, President Roosevelt was, because we always talk in Italy in politics, every time that we want to do something big, we are talking about the Marshall Plan, the Marshall. But actually Roosevelt was doing something really big for culture after the huge crisis, and he brought all the major artists to work around United States to do the most different social activities connected with art, and he supported culture more than anything else because he invested in the future in this way. These artists, I'm talking about people like Warhol, for instance, you know. So I mean, I think that it needs, it's a time also that the government should start to think at a way to support culture in this challenge of reinvent itself, in order not only not to die, but actually to be able to face the new challenge and give to our public the chance to enjoy again. Because Paulo was mentioning one of the main problems of the future, because yes, maybe we will be able again to have 1,000 people in the theater, but the economical crisis that is coming out of it, it's going to be longer lasting than the health crisis that we have. So even when the public will be able to go, they will try to think where I should use the less money that I have aside, where I should spend them, you know. And so we need to find a way to make understandable and clear the importance of the fruition of culture. I mean, from museums to live performances, and on this, the government has a huge responsibility.
Yeah, and I wanted to add from the composing point of view, and people that are offering, it's very good, you know, to offer free concerts and free arts everywhere. It's lovely, but you cannot expect a nurse to work for free. And I consider ourselves, or doctors or whatever, that are contributing to the health of mental health and the soul in general. We cannot be expected to offer content for free. We can do it for a certain time. People are asking me, oh, we can do concerts for free, and then you only need 20 people and maybe Oliver can play for free. I feel it is a great opportunity now to create an awareness for the arts, but it's also a big danger that people take for granted whatever we are offering from now on. I notice also that many artists are offering releases online, etc., and they are doing that because they basically can afford it. But there are many artists that cannot afford that. And we have to think globally for a problem which is totally global as well. I am an optimist, don't get me wrong, but I think we have to, if I can concentrate on what Gianluca was saying, we have to increase the value of art globally as a necessity more than a luxury.
Yeah, totally agree, Paulo. Before we go on, guys, I just have to get through a few more comments because people have really left some lovely comments here. Jill has said, and there is no substitute for live performance. Concerts and theatre and small screens do nothing for me as an audience member. Margaret has said, we are so lucky. Salzburg Festival will take place in summer. Not at all. Reduced program and reduced seats. That's better than nothing. I think of all the musicians, artists, and hope it starts soon for all of you. Charles Spanner has said, hi all. Having performed a number of times in Rome, cannot we not use the churches as concert venues? They are underused, have great acoustics, much space. Rome has many, but so have cities and towns around the world. Also, this will assist churches with revenue. Paolo, you're from Rome. You're a Roman. What do you think about that?
Well, this is a good point. I think that you guys are all right. It's not just a problem of venue and, the way we organize a concert. It's actually why we organize a concert. So what Gianluca was saying, the social impact of our activity. Of course, music especially, of course, we inspire the society, we inspire people, but also we make an impact with our heart, with the musical language. We make an impact on our communities, on our society. And this is so important and meaningful, and Gianluca is completely right. We have to rediscover the social value also of our work. An opera house, is just not a place, a theater, a concert hall is not just a place for opera lovers, for music lovers. First of all, it's a venue which is part of the city. It's a venue where people can meet. So now, of course, we have a problem. The location, the destination of the location is actually to facilitate people to get together, to meet, to share, experiences and emotions. Right now, we have some difficulties in, assuring this kind of experience because it's about the experience, guys. It's not just about music.
Exactly.
When you go to a concert, when you go to listen to Carly, to Oliver, to see Gianluca on the stage, it's not just, the moment that you are in your seat looking at the orchestra, the artist. It's actually about the whole experience. Before the concert, during the concert, after the concert. It's the impact that the concert is making on your life. So social impact is very important. And number two, Carly is completely right about the issue of giving for granted that performances online has to be free. But also I see one issue, guys, that we are now entering very quickly in an area which is actually, let's say, not our area. Online streaming is domain of, for instance, Netflix, of another kind of form of art, let's say, if we want to call it also entertainment, So
yes.
It's very difficult to play on this field for classical music, opera, because online streaming has completely different, rules, let's say, and parameters. We know, with Netflix, they are mastering this. Series, 40 minutes, you need to be, really always surprised with wherever kind of effects or stories that impress you. This is not about classical music. This is not about opera. This is not about music. Music is not about 3D effects. It's not about, lasting 10 minutes, 20 minutes is not about this. So probably also what I'm trying to say is that definitely we have to take advantage of streaming, but we have to consider that probably we will have to produce specific contents for streaming. You can't expect to stream a live concert of 2 hours.
No.
Also, musicians, they're not going to see for 2 hours of concert, just because, this is not what we need. Let me say like this, no? Because this is not about the experience that you can feel if you are in a concert hall. You can stay in a concert hall for 2 hours, even if we know this is also kind of critical right today, no? Because people are not used anymore to stay seated in a seat for 2 hours without watching at the WhatsApp, Facebook, wherever. It's sad, but this is the reality. So I think, it's just about, and I agree with Paolo, we have to be optimistic. It's just, this is the future, guys. And we were expecting to face this slowly, gradually during the next years. But this pandemic crisis actually accelerated everything. So the future is today. So we need to take time. We don't have to be so ambitious to say, okay, we're going to solve the problem in 2 months. It will take years, actually. It's about, reinventing the system of music, opera, which it will take time. I think we just need to be positive. We need to be genuine also. Especially you artists, you have to connect with the audience if you have to say something to the audience. Otherwise, audience will not connect with you.
Absolutely, Paolo. Carly, you are quite a connective performer in the sense that you connect with people very much on stage, but also these days you're doing lots of live videos. What is the feedback that you're getting from people? I mean, aside from it being wonderful, but are people really finding that they are getting their musical fix like this, or are you really dying for the time and waiting for the time that stages are going to be reopened and you're going to be making that connection actually physically with the audience that as Paolo was saying, is so much of an experience?
I think it will never, having a virtual audience will never be the same as having a live audience and, holding a high note and, all the audience goes quiet and you can hear a pin drop and then you get an applause. And I think that's something that I will never get used to singing online. This deafening silence that comes at the end of a song and then kind of the artist having to fill into space without really any spontaneous activity going on from the other side. It's an odd situation, but I've had very supportive response, which has helped me as much as I hoped it's helped the people that are listening and are viewing the music. One thing that has been interesting is how many people have said it's interesting to see the singer so up close, because a little bit like what you were saying, Paolo, we've got to give more than just stream an opera. It's with what people are used to seeing with the special effects and things today, you've got to be able to add more to the content to kind of show the setup. And people have found it interesting to kind of see my vocal mechanism working and see the singer up close and personal. So it's not just at a distance as you'd normally see in an opera house. You see the facial expressions and actually the production taking place. I'm sure that could be the same as well for musicians, to see your hands up close, Oliver, and what you do, and violinists up close. I think that's something special that perhaps we could take advantage of this time, that, you could show a little bit more to keep people interested and engaged and wanting to know and understand more about the arts.
Absolutely, Carly, thank you. I know that there will be some people watching, especially younger musicians right now, who are thinking, gosh, my career was going so well, things were really moving, and now everything's stopped, everything's dead, and I'm worried. I'm really worried. Am I going to get booked? Am I going to be, being able to be financially independent? And And it's a very worrying time for a lot of musicians because their livelihoods and the whole purpose of their life for many is to get out on stage and to shine and to inspire others and, you know, and to believe in the power of music to make the world a better place. So Carly, what advice might you give to someone watching now who thinks, oh gosh, I feel really not motivated. I feel worried.
It's a hard thing amongst all of this to stay optimistic. It can be difficult, but I think we should all hang on the fact that we have got a voice. More than any time, you know, people have really, really turned to music. And it's for the first time, we should realize how strong our voice is as musicians, that we are important. We have been part of what's been keeping the world sane during this lockdown period. And we've got to come out of this. I mean, the world went through World War I, it went through World War II. And this is another chapter that we've slowly got to work through. I think we've all got to be open-minded enough to use kind of the inventions and what the future is and try and be creative. That's one thing about musicians or anybody in the arts. It's kind of built into us that we're creative. So you do have all the raw talents and all the raw ability to be able to remake yourself and start to slowly deliver what you do to the world again. And I think the main thing I'd say to people is to not be scared to express yourself and put what you can do out there, because it's amazing what kind of reaction you can get back. And that helps you move on again as well.
I would like to add something for young people, if I may, Oliver.
Yes, please, Paulo.
It is a condition for an artist to be resilient. If you're not resilient, you are in the wrong profession. I kept saying that when I was teaching like last century, and it is an aspect that is almost forgotten sometimes in teaching. I was teaching in a very prestigious academy in London at some point, and I introduced the pessimistic hour, what it means to go for a playing in an empty hall or being rejected by a publisher or as a composer or whatever. It is a condition for an artist to be resilient and to deal with that. The problem now is enhanced, but there was always art, and there will always be art and artists that can deal with that and take inspiration of that. If you're one of them, the world needs you. If you're worried about surviving, create something to survive. I could see in the biographies of all of us, we don't do one thing only. We do several things. Ambassadors and promoters, impresario, conductor. I'm a composer and impresario. Oliver is everything as well. We are doing this. This is not our profession. So it's part of us. And there are millions of us who are resilient. We have to remember our power and what we can give to the world as well. But it is a point now where the world has to understand that we are needed as well. So maybe things change for the better in the end, but it will take some time. So be strong.
Absolutely, thank you, Paulo. Gianluca, I'm just going to quickly show our viewers a lovely picture.
Oh, Lerici.
Yes, Lerici. This is your hometown. This is where your music festival is taking place. And Carly has sung there. I've had the great fortune to play there. Paulo has been there too.
Yes.
And I just want to say to our viewers, do check out. It's now called Lerici Music Festival, isn't it?
Now, this year, it's going to be Lerici Music Festival. It has been, it started in 2017 as Suoni dal Golfo, inspired by the Gulf of Poets, so il Golfo dei Poeti, because as you know, in Lerici and San Terenzo, the two towns were living people like Percy Shelley, George Byron, and many others, Lawrence, D.H. Lawrence. So it has a long story connected with poetry, and now also a story connected with music.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, thanks to you, Gianluca. Paulo, I have a wonderful picture here of you speaking for UNESCO, I believe, and it's that connection that I actually wanted to draw upon. you are someone who, as a founder of Emma for Peace, you work in an incredible area, which is the intersection between music and diplomacy. And for so long now, I've looked at your work and thought, wow, it actually embodies all the ideals of music as a universal language that brings people together. And what if we could use that in a diplomatic arena to make the world a better place? I was wondering, since you work in that with that perspective, how do you think music might be able to heal on a global level the pandemic, apart from as an arts, as Carly was saying, something that keeps us sane, but in terms of NGOs, governments, platforms, do you think music has a role as much as it does with diplomacy in a pandemic?
Absolutely. You know, what I've been doing over the last years, and I was lucky enough to involve many of you guys also in some of my projects, is actually to ask the artist, ask the musician to communicate with people, reach out with communities, not just with music, but, you know, as a person. This is also very, very important, you know, guys. Sometimes artists, musicians forget their, let's say, role as a citizen. It's not just about being on stage. And you know, you are a perfect example of this. You are all very engaged in your communities. And you actually interact with other organizations, with NGOs, as human beings, as citizens, and then as artists and musicians. So definitely we know musicians are much more prepared to listen, to communicate, to understand, to interact with people coming from different cultural backgrounds, with different sensitivities, because we are totally used to do so. All the time you guys play, interact with the musicians coming from all over the world. This is so natural for you. But this is not so natural for many people out there, that maybe they don't have the opportunity to work and interact with people coming from the other side of the world. So you can actually, you have this ability already of interacting and working with so many different people coming from so many different parts of the world. And this is such a skill and energy that you have that you can use also to make a different kind of impact on our communities and our society, beyond playing and performing on stage, which of course is the core of your activity. And also from the stage, you can launch messages to the world. But don't forget what you can do also when you are off of the stage. And I think we are experiencing this right now because, of course, unfortunately, we are forced to stop our music activities, as we are saying. But I'm sure that a lot of people out there were so inspired by you guys, musicians and artists, to just connect with you, see yourself in a very intimate also situation, talking from your houses now, and maybe not playing music, but just talking, inspiring people through words. So definitely, you know, music, we always say, is a universal language. But also, you know, the power of the words, the power of the thoughts that are coming from artists is just so important. Artists are leaders in the end of the day. If you think, guys, the major artists, the major bands, you show before Oliver a photo of Carly performing with Andrea Bocelli. Andrea also, every concert, he has thousands and thousands of people. Like a leader, like a major leader, not every people is able to connect with thousands of people in 1 hour. Artists can do it. So I think you guys have a major responsibility. Don't forget this. And as Paulo is saying, it's also about inspiring the new generations also. Inspiring them positively. I think, you know, there are a lot of artists that are very committed in this kind of work, but I also believe that more and more artists can give their contribution to really make a difference in this world.
I think that's so wonderful to hear from you, Paolo, because I actually totally agree with that. And I think that when people, musicians and artists, they actually put the values that they believe in into it, they somehow intertwine it with their work. That's beautiful. I mean, I can actually think of an example, perfect example. You mentioned bands. I mean, you're a cultural advisor for Coldplay, the biggest band in the world. And, you know, I saw recently that they've said they would not tour, I believe, unless they could find a sustainable, ecologically, a green way to tour. And I think that, and this is a very interesting point, which I wanted to ask you all, about not just us being on stage and, you know, giving people emotions, but what about causes that we champion? I mean, is it right to put a cause into what you're doing? For example, I know artists who some artists, you know, sometimes they're told, oh, you shouldn't say anything, you shouldn't get involved in politics, etc., etc. But do you think that, as I often do, these important causes in life, and as Paolo was saying, when musicians do have platforms, don't you think they might have some sort of responsibility to promote causes, to try and do the right thing outside of just being a musician? Carly, what do you think about that?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I don't think anybody, my main priority when I go out on stage is to bring joy to an audience. You know, I just love to entertain, and I love to convey the emotion of the music or whatever I'm singing. Having said that, I've been an ambassador for When You Wish Upon a Star for years, and that's it's a children's charity that they help grant wishes for children with terminal illnesses. I've been with them since I was 16 years old, and together we've created a few musical projects that have directly been able to bring in some revenue to help grant more wishes. I was able to work with Everton Football Club, none other. I've never been a football fan until Everton came along and stepped in and really helped us out and made a lot of children and their families very, very happy. So I think absolutely, yes, when you can, you know, I have a lot of faith, and I believe that any gift, whether it's music or any gift that you might have, for me it comes from above. And I think that in some way, as well as make a living for yourself, you should acknowledge that and try and do some good as well for other people. It's a way to pay it forward, as they say.
I think that's absolutely beautiful, Carly. And talking of faith, I just wanted to quickly mention and show, this is the Opus Theatre, and this is Polo's holy ground. And Polo, you are that's the London place. That's the London Mozart Players, by the way, because they're the current artists in residence. So when Gianluca mentioned something magical in the air, the Opus is definitely a place that has magic in the air, and I can vouch for that, having performed there myself and having had the great honor to play with Carly there as well. Polo, you are writing or have written a multi-faith oratorio, and this consists of different faiths represented in different choirs. But you said you had difficulty really getting it premiered. Do you want to tell us why?
I have written it, I finished it 5 years ago, and I couldn't find choirs I know hundreds of choirs, and they love my music and such. But the committees behind the choirs had problems singing content of other religions. Now it's public. Thank you, Oliver.
Well, you know,
I'm gonna get into that. But basically,
well, the thing I was trying to say is that you have pinpointed one of these pressing issues that musicians have to face, whether it's standing up for a cause or it's, you know, talking about faith or not. And music is what you're using as music as a way to bring people together, and especially in faiths.
But the phenomenon is very simple to explain. I was commissioned by a big organization to give me, they pay me to write. I researched 3 years, and I thought, oh my God, to write a multi-faith oratorio will be something that internationally will be incredible, because all the religions in the world, remember, the 5 biggest religions are represented: Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, and Buddhism. Imagine the whole world is more or less covered. So I will be incredibly in demand because everybody would sing it. And it's the opposite. The opposite is because all the choirs have an association with some religion. So let's imagine, theoretically, the Buddhists don't want to sing anything from Jews, and the Christians don't want to sing anything Islamic, and the rest. So unless we learn to cohabit and open our minds and think of the music, nothing will change. So it is a great opportunity. The plan is to have the oratorio premiere on the 24th of April by the London Mozart Players, the Hazy Sinfonia, and fantastic soloists and great people in the theater, in the Opus Theater. But the pandemic came in between. So I don't know if it is jinx or what, but we are doing it. Whatever happens, we are doing it. And if we have to delay it, we are going to do it later. I tell you a secret. I sent it to the Pope, not because I know him, because he's Argentine, you know. So I thought, okay, I have some access to the Pope being Argentine. And it was returned with address unknown. Can you imagine? The package of the oratorio, the full package, it's a big score, you know. Return, it was addressed to the Pope, Vatican City, etc., etc. It returned back. So there is something that is working against me. So we're going to perform it anyway.
Well, yeah. And it's beautiful work. Because your music is beautiful, and everyone must check out Paulo's music if they don't already know it, of course. Guys, so just like to get to wrapping up. So there's just a few more comments, and then I just wanted to show these. So Laura has wonderfully said, music is already playing an amazing role during the pandemic. Artists are being so generous, playing music on their balconies, offering music to medical teams who are on the front lines, sharing music virtually with their audience. I don't think people are taking free performances for granted. On the contrary, music is giving amazing support to people who are suffering. I think that's very beautiful. Sandra says, excellent thought-provoking discussions from all of you. Many thanks. Paolo's comments about a concert not being just a concert really resonated with me. Yes, absolutely. And Susan says, all religions are one, which is a nice sentiment. Ron is saying, I have watched Carly sing from her home, and now I cannot wait to see her live in concert with a large concert orchestra. Well, there you have. We have more fans for Carly, because Carly is amazing. Laura says, maybe Daniel Barenboim can help since he manages the East-West Divan. And there was one other one here. Mike said, do you think there's... Yes, hello, Daniel. Hope he's watching. Do you think there is any future for drive and performances using large industrial estates? Maybe, I believe E&O are trialing. That was quite interesting. And then Liz was saying, Gianluca is right. Roosevelt did the Federal Works Program, and that is something similar that governments should consider. The arts in the UK and elsewhere bring millions of revenue into the country. Nina is saying, great to see everyone. Everyone looks handsome and beautiful. Just want to say thank you so much, everyone, for your comments, and for everyone who's watching.
Nina.
Yeah. Hi, Nina. We must have you on. So yes, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's watched and who's joined in. I really thank you to everyone. Carly, I know you're busy. I know you've got to go and dash because you've got a live concert to do.
No, it's been lovely to be with you all. It has.
But, yeah, I'm so grateful to have you here. And Paolo, really thought-provoking what you've said, and really grateful for your time. And Gianluca, I mean, I should mention, Gianluca, you're in Yerevan and you're juggling. You're actually rehearsing. Are you rehearsing with an actual orchestra?
Yes. I was rehearsing. With a chamber orchestra, so string orchestra, and now I'm waiting to move to Italy because there is a lot of work to do, a festival to do.
Right, wonderful. Sounds fantastic. And I just had this idea on the top of my head. I know musicians don't like to be asked to play sometimes. I get it all the time. But I was wondering, Carly, might you at all be interested or would like to maybe sing something for our followers? Maybe a little something. No problem if not. No pressure. But it's just, and I just thought about it.
Yeah, I can do. Have you got your piano there then somewhere?
I'm plugged into the Wi-Fi, unfortunately, so I can't move. Sorry.
Right.
Oh, without your piano.
So,
Without a piano, just
if I disconnect my Ethernet, I'm gonna lose you guys. So maybe just an a cappella for now, Carly, if possible.
I'll do a little bit of Over the Rainbow in whatever comes out, I'm afraid now. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Thank you.
Bravo, bravo.
Thank you.
Brava.
Thank you, gentlemen.
That was so beautiful, Carly. Thank you so much. What a way to finish this webinar. And thank you all from the bottom of my heart for being part of this. Thank you all to everyone watching. Do follow Carly, Paolo, and Gianluca on social media, and Paolo, and me as well if you're not. And do share this video if you liked it as well. We're grateful to have you here, and I wish you, Carly, the very best for your concert now. And Paolo, good luck with everything going on in Italy, and please stay safe and take care. And Gianluca, great to see you, and so excited and happy for you that your festival will continue with such good causes this summer. So
Thank you.
hope to see you all in person again soon. But for now,
Yes.
have a lovely day. And if anyone has anything, final remarks to say, please go ahead.
I wanted to thank Oliver because it was his idea to create this. Thank you very much, Oliver.
Thank you.
Bravo, Oliver.
It wouldn't have happened without you guys.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, and have a lovely evening. And thanks for tuning into Global Conversations, Music in Today's World. We shall see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Ciao. Ciao, dopo.